Mayor Charlie Clark joins us again. Just going to touch a little bit about some of the capital improvements and some projects happening around the city. So, Your Worship, when we have a lot of the projects that are underway, and there still are some naysayers, if I could say it politely that way, that would say that because of some financial challenges from the province that some of the projects that are ongoing right now, the two bridges and the Remy Modern, may have stalled. Can you put that rumor straight?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think I've heard that rumor too. Sometimes some people think that the provincial budget decisions have affected either the North Bridge or the traffic bridge or the gallery, and I can say that's not the case. You know, those times. In fact, one thing that the provincial budget did have is the inclusion of even an increase in the capital amount that they basically moved up that they had already promised to the two bridges. And the gallery is now, as we know, it's opening on October 21st, and the building is finished. So now it's just the moving in. So the budget didn't have an impact on that either. And so the budget has been a challenge. There's no question, and we've been wrestling with what to do, and you get basically $11.4 million removed from your operating budget at the same time as our other revenues from the provincial government through the PST receipts that we get and other things go down. And when they added that extra 1% onto the PST, that actually adds cost to us too. So this has been a unique challenge to deal with, especially when it came down in June when it did in the middle of our planning cycle. We already had set our budget for 2017, but we are all hands on deck at City Hall right now, looking creatively at how do we think differently about a number of our programs and getting different departments working together at identifying ways to find efficiencies and to do things differently in order to make sure that we can mitigate the impact on residents, because we know taxes have been going up, and then that creates a real challenge too, and we don't want to take that for granted at all and just assume that we can just offload these costs onto taxpayers. So we're working through that, and we'll have more information through the fall on what we're going to do to come up with a budget that we think is fair and reasonable, and still advocate to the provincial government for a sustainable and fair and predictable deal into the future, as well as I still believe that the crowns that exist in the cities, Sask Power and Sask Energy, should pay taxes, and that this isn't over. We need to come up with a new program that to replace the grants in lieu. So all that work is underway, and that'll help us. But in the meantime, the capital projects that we're doing are carrying on. And I guess I'd like to just speak also about the unprecedented investments that we're making this year in fixing water lines, in fixing water mains, in fixing roadways and sidewalks. Our amount of investment has doubled just in the last 3 years when it comes to roads and sidewalks. And this year, we're putting over $40 million into fixing up old lead water lines, which we know there's a safety concern, and they're aging. So citizens are going to have to put up with a lot of detours, and we've got a lot of neighborhoods right now where roads are fenced off, and new temporary water lines are being put in, and that's all to accommodate this unprecedented investment. So we're asking for patience from residents while we do that, but in the end, we're going to end up with some of our old neighborhoods finally being fixed up in a way that we know they have been needing to for a long time.
I think with that, we'll open a door for more investment into the area inside Circle Drive, let's say. What's your prediction and estimation for investment to kind of not stop urban sprawl, but to increase infill development and be more of a concentration of and densification of people living downtown to support transit and other services?
And this was a big theme during the election campaign, and it's also been the direction that the city has been going for some time with our growth plan, that the more we can use the land that we've already got developed, and there's so many empty, bare parking lots and bare vacant lots in the city already, the better we use the infrastructure that we have, and the more we save money down the road. And so we're looking, and we actually have some important meetings coming up in the coming weeks about that, to try and look at what are the things that make the playing field not level when it comes to development in the existing part of the city versus suburban development.
Sure.
Is there red tape? Are there fees and structures that make it unfair? And we're looking to streamline that. We also always need to make sure that as we look at development happening in existing areas, that it happens in a way that's still complementary to the existing neighborhoods. This isn't about tearing down single-family residences, whole blocks, and putting up 30-story towers on them. There needs to be a way to strategically place that infill so that it's complementary to the neighborhoods that are there. But like you said, uses the transit lines better, uses the already existing roadways better, puts people where there's already shops and amenities and places to work, and builds a city with a strong core, because the heart of the city is still Riversdale, Broadway, downtown, around the university. That's where our tourists come. That's where we gather when we have great community events. If we can keep that part of our city strong, then the whole city will do well.
How is your opinion, and when you're sitting and talking with other big city mayors, if you will, through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities and FCM, when you talk to them in terms of your infrastructure needs, if we look at Boychuk Drive and Highway 16 and any of the other overpasses that are being constructed, we're not alone in all of this in terms of competing for dollars, federally speaking. Is your experience on that stage the same as everyone else, or do you see a bigger need here because we are still growing and maybe faster than some other cities?
Well, I would say there's an infrastructure deficit across the country, and we know it's billions of dollars that's been identified. And so that there's the aging infrastructure, and then there's the increasing demand to sort of accommodate the growth that's been there, which McCormick and College and Boychuk and 16 overpasses are part of that, right? The city has grown, and you get these choke points. In my mind, part of it is because we should have planned more entry point and exit points and had a different design to those neighborhoods in the first place, which is part of what the growth plan. Now we're on the right track, in my view, to design and plan these things so that, and also to really push towards giving people better transportation choices, including transit, carpooling, cycling, walking, so that it's not all, people aren't only getting around by themselves in their car, which is a very inefficient way to have a transportation system. So those infrastructure demands are similar across the country. I would say all cities are trying to figure out how to be more efficient, how to design cities that get away from that urban sprawl model, because they're all learning that model doesn't pay for itself, and it creates longer term liabilities. And so we're when I talk to the mayor of Edmonton, or I talk to the mayor of Winnipeg, or I talk to the mayor of even London, Ontario, the stories and the conversations are very similar. How do you do this? How do you create that change within your community? Because people can get very used to doing things the way in their view, they've always been done. While cities always change, and the demands and as we look to the future, the long-term planning needs of the city, we realize we have to change, and that's a common refrain around the Big City Mayors Caucus table. Absolutely, it's been great to be at that table because I've had a chance to learn a lot. We have a lot of strong mayors in the country right now. I think we have an increasing voice in the national conversation about the theme at the last Big City Mayors Caucus meetings was that city building is nation building. That if we're going to solve the problems that our country is going to need to solve to be successful in the future, whether it's climate change, economic development, diversity and inclusion, reconciliation, cities are at the forefront of that, and mayors and councillors and communities need to have a bigger voice in helping to make sure that we can achieve those solutions. So it's been a very exciting time to be part of that conversation.
The bus rapid transit system, or the BRT, that is coming, that we understand. It's my estimation that you're probably going to find more people that are willing to take transit. If I know it's minus 22 outside and the wind is from the north, and the next bus is coming in 7 or 8 minutes as opposed to 20 minutes or half an hour, increasing that frequency, would that lead to more people wanting to live near those corridors and then support more of the businesses close by? Or
That's definitely the goal, and again, we're not inventing this. This is what's been proven out in city after city after city. Is when you have corridors, and in our case, you take 22nd Street and 8th Street, where you already have traffic, you already have services and amenities. If you can run transit more frequently, it makes it more desirable to have more people living there, and it makes sense as a place to have a higher density. And so 22nd Street, just this in the next month in July, we're going to be changing our transit scheduling timing so that we have more frequency of buses going down there. We already have a number of apartments and condominiums, and there's a new hotel all along 22nd Street there, and then all the growth that's happened down towards Blairmore, and so having better transit frequency, and you think particularly of an aging seniors population and people who are not going to be able to, are losing their license and ability to drive. You want to have service to that community or around Market Mall. If we can provide better transit service so people can just, have, like you say, that a bus is going to come by, you feel more certain about it, then it starts to meet the needs of that population. And when you have 30 people riding a bus as opposed to 30 different people driving cars, you're using that roadway much more efficiently, and it's actually reducing the congestion for the people who are driving, because we know not everybody is gonna take transit. So that is the model. You focus around corridors where you can see and add more density, and it's going to be a challenge. We'd love to see 6-story residential down 8th Street or 7 or 8, and have lots of people living there. But right now it's hard to imagine living on 8th Street. So that's part of this change, that we need to find the conditions that will actually make that work. Because that is a much more efficient way to build our city. It starts by having the idea and putting the pieces in place, and then you have to problem solve from there on how to actually achieve it.
I think we're on our way, and I want to thank you for taking time and explaining that all to us. I wish you the best of luck this summer, and maybe we'll do this again in the fall.
Thank you very much, and it's the 150th birthday of Canada this year. And there's so much that we have to celebrate, and I think we live in one of the absolute best cities in the best country of the world, and it's been very exciting to be in this role for the last 8 months, and I look forward to working with the community in the months and years ahead.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor Clark.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.